Welcome to the Coachzing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach zinger yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta. And as always, this is the show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Back with me today is Michelle Barr as part of our Deeper Dive series. And we're going to talk about how to get clients to come to you, how to be pursued using your content, right? That's what we all want. It doesn't feel great to go chasing after people and never feels like a great energy. So how do you get people to come to you? And we're going to talk about that and more. Michelle Barr is an intuitive coach, business strategist, and mindset mentor, a spiritual teacher, speaker, author, and expert thought leader. She helps conscious entrepreneurs and spiritual seekers translate their soul purpose into a tangible step-by-step plan to create personal and business success so you can make money while making a difference. And I encourage you to visit her website at michellebarr.com. That's Michelle, B-A-R-R.com, and we'll put that on the show page as well. Michelle Barr, welcome back to the Coachzing Show.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be back on the show.
Thank you so much. And so, let's talk about this idea. One of the things I hear from people a lot is, oh man, why should I create content? I mean, if I don't get, I can't monetize my blog. I can't monetize my podcast. It doesn't immediately earn me money. Like, why should I do this stuff? So maybe you can say a little bit about this idea of, we were chatting for a moment before the show started, that how to be pursued using content. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yes, I love that you bring that up because I came across this concept a few years ago about being pursued instead of pursuing. And I said, I really want that because I don't like being salesy, and I really had a lot of resistance around that. And I love giving away, but I was giving away at my own expense. So I learned how to create valuable content and put it out into the world in a way that people consume it, and then it leads them back to you and they become clients. So now when people come to me, they say, I listened to your free webinar, I read your blog, I watched your video. And if you do it in a strategic way, it actually feeds your system and it helps get people more ready to work with you before they show into a conversation with you.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you talked about the idea of doing it strategically, because I know that the other thing that happens for people is sometimes people feel like, I'm creating all this content and it's not getting me anywhere. Can you say a little bit more too about what do you mean by sharing content strategically?
Yeah, so I hear that a lot too. And people say, well, I wrote a blog and nobody commented or nobody liked it or it didn't get me business. And people are kind of putting things out there and throwing them against the wall to see if they stick. And it's a whole system where you use your website with a freebie opt-in, your social media, and your newsletter and blog all together. And it's best to start putting a central idea out there in all those different formats so that people can really latch on to that and get a taste. Because the other thing that happens is one day you write about this, then you write about this, and then something else. And then people might even like it, but they don't know what you're about. They don't know what you do. And so it's really having a system. And I have a very streamlined system of writing my blog article, doing my newsletter, getting it out in social media, and creating content around a theme for a period of time.
I like that a lot. Can you give an example of something like that?
Yeah. So I had, when I was really starting this a few years ago, I took a central theme that was emerging, the art of taking action. And so I tied everything back to that. So I could talk about everything from building my business to mindset to making more money, getting clients, as well as my life. And then I kept tying it back to taking inspired action and to getting into action. So I ended up using that theme over a period of time. So I blogged about it. And so no matter what I talked about, I brought it back back to that point of view about action. And then I made videos, and then I had an ebook with that. And then I did a free teleclass, and I actually have next month my book coming out, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Taking Action. But I built that whole platform in preparation to bring out a book.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that strategic piece is really a big takeaway, where if you're just sharing this here and that there, but people don't know, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is people won't know what you stand for, and you're not building up to something. You're not taking people somewhere. You're just writing a blog here, putting out a podcast here, putting out a video here, and it doesn't ever, I guess the thing I'm thinking is maybe it doesn't ever really build any momentum.
That is a great way to say it. That's exactly what it is. So people don't know what you want them to do. So all your content also always has one clear call to action, which is to lead them into conversation with you, to that complimentary session. And then the great thing about it too is I have clients all over the world, and they find me because they're online all different times, day and night. And I always have multiple things out there for them to consume. And I see when people start grabbing this and this and this, and then they show up and want to talk about hiring me. And you're right. It is about leading people on a clear path that everything they do leads them to working with me. So it all makes sense that when they get on the phone with me, what I'm going to make an offer and invite them to invest in will make perfect sense with what I've been feeding them for free.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you talked about, especially we have a lot of coaches on the who listen to this show, so that, like you said, that bringing people into that complementary enrollment conversation sounds like would be a great call to action for a coach then.
Yes, that is a great call to action, especially in the beginning, is putting out there what you're about and giving them something valuable to consume, and then inviting them into conversation. And then you start creating the free webinar or teleclass and those kind of things and offering those out there. You really want to feed people and get them into your community by opting in, coming onto your list. And then that's the other key piece about valuable content is once people come on your list, you want to be consistently communicating with them. So having a blogging and newsletter schedule, and I tell my clients, consistency is much more important than quantity. So first I get them to determine how often they're willing to do their blog and newsletter, and then stay with that schedule.
I like that a lot. Right. So, and consistency, meaning like if I know that I can't email my list every other day, then I shouldn't try to start emailing my list every other day then.
Right. Well, it's those big gaps. So I have some clients who right away will commit to blogging and sending out their newsletter every week, and others that aren't willing to do that. So it's better, even if you were going to start by doing it once a month. And I've even had a client who first said once a season. That was it. So we made that work, and then you build up to it. What happens is, imagine if all of a sudden I have something to sell and I've got to make some money and get some clients, and I start mailing my list and they haven't heard from me in a while. They're going to unsubscribe. They're going to wonder why they're getting barraged with email. But I don't get a lot of people leaving my social media or my list because I am consistently feeding them, serving them, and communicating with them. So then they don't mind when I send them a straight up sales and promotional email, and they know my rhythm. And so they know if all of a sudden I do this 10 or 21 day campaign where they're getting extra emails, they know that's going to be just for that period of time, and they're still going to get all the value they always get from me.
Yeah, there's a context. There's a context to it. It's not like all of a sudden, right, when I have something to sell, then I'm talking to you, but when I don't, I just go silent for long periods of time.
Right. There are some people I follow that I open every email they ever send me. And you may have people like that too.
Sure.
And they email a lot, but I always know it's going to be valuable. So then I'm even excited to open the ones that are selling or offering, inviting me into an investment because I trust them and I love what they're giving me all the time and I consume all of it.
So let me ask you this question, because this is another question that I get a lot, which is, how do I know what is valuable to my audience? I mean, I may have an idea of what I think is valuable, but how can I determine what really is meaty, valuable, juicy content that my audience is going to want?
That's a really good question. And again, it's picking something concentrated. If all of a sudden I invited you to an event and I said, I'm going to let you speak to my whole community, you just have to show up and you have to bring a presentation. And that's kind of how I get my clients to think about it. The best thing is you come up with some kind of central message you want to get, and then some bullet points. And if you should always have that. So if you get that opportunity, so you take that one piece of content, bullet point, 7 tips, 7 mistakes, 7 things you need to know, whatever it is, or you have one of those acronyms like my MOVE formula. You take each component of that and you write a blog post about it so it becomes a whole series over the next 5 to 10 weeks. Then you pull from that blog series 1 or 2 minutes out of each blog post and you create some videos. And pretty soon you're getting that out there, you're putting it on social media, you will get feedback and it's free. At this point, you have invested your time and energy, but it's free to do that and you will get feedback so that then you know whether to continue with an ebook and then a free telecall, which then leads to paid offerings.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I like the idea of, building it over time, right? So now I want to know, right, if it's the MOV, right, if it's the MOVE method, I want to know when I read the M, I want to know what the O is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. And it works really well because I have a lot of clients that just get so daunted about content. So it makes it easy once I help them come up with that one formula. Well, now with the MOVE, I know I have 5 weeks worth because the first week I'm just going to touch on each one in a paragraph. Then I'm going to write one about each one. Like you said, the MOVE, and people are watching it, or a 21-day or a 7-day, whatever it is. And people are watching for it. And it builds on itself. And then the people that will follow it all the way through, they're the people that are then going to buy whatever you offer them into, and you're going to get feedback.
Well, the other thing that I think a lot of times, because this is a mindset shift from I got to go get clients, I've got to go get clients, to I'm going to share valuable content and have clients come to me. I'm curious about the question of time. And in your experience, how much time does it take if I'm really just starting to do this? How much time does it take before I start really building that community and having people come to me?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's some short-term results and long-term. And again, people say they start doing it. Well, I did what you said and I didn't get results. And
Right.
so it builds a momentum, and it builds where at first I was thinking, why am I doing this? Am I ever going to get results? And then exponentially you start getting them. So I have a client, we've been working together less than 30 days. She started implementing this. She created her 21-day formula and started putting it out there. And she told me yesterday she got her first complimentary consultation for a potential client out of a post from that. So she has put out a couple of weeks of it. You'll start getting people, and then you can decide too, do you go out locally with that same piece of content and speak? Because that's a fast way to get those first potential clients and people who've already been following you. But I always tell people, whatever we create as that first piece of content, content and I show them how much you can do with it, you want to push that out for 90 days. And you can imagine what it does is it creates this, all of a sudden you're seeing them everywhere with one clear message, and you start feeling like they're out there everywhere. So then if you resonate with that message and it's interesting to you, you're going to start paying attention and latching on to that. And so then you push that one central message out for a good 90 days.
I think that's great. And the thing that I really appreciate about this is that, yes, exactly, it can have short-term results, but it's also, to me, content is one of those things like gardening. It's like, well, I planted that seed and nothing happened, right? I planted it yesterday and it doesn't work. Gardening doesn't work. It's all a big fraud.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how people they want to see those instant results. And so it really works over time. It's that building that community. I have people who've stayed on my list for years, and then I have people who come on my list and want to hire me right away. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be in it for the long term. With that, with the internet and with all the ways people can consume information, there are people still consuming free content that I created as far back as 2011 and 12, and I have them now as opt-ins, and they're still out there. People come onto my list and consume that stuff still every day. I get clients from things I did 3 and 4 years ago.
And how about, do you have any tips? This is another thing I hear from people about, I start off so strong, and you talked about the importance of consistency. I start off so strong, I have the best of intentions, but I have such a hard time staying consistent. Do you have any tips for people about how we can maintain consistency over time?
Yes, it really is building it in. I am not a routine or system or structure person. I'm very spontaneous, but I learned that the value was so worth it to build that container and that foundation. So now I can pour what I create into it. So what I had to do is just streamline all of it and streamline it in a very concise way. So for instance, I have a whole system on Monday mornings where I write my blog article, I post it, I get my newsletter template, I put my blog into my newsletter, I write my message, I send it out to my audience. Then I have those 2 links and that content to share all week long. And so once you learn to streamline those things, you know what you're going to do every week. I have a set schedule for all the times that I will email my list. Then I know whenever I have something to email, it's set. And then I can go from there to be creative and innovative.
I like that a lot. So really, right, you can be creative, you can be innovative, you can improvise, but you really have to just build that structure in to share your content on a regular basis.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now you talked about, like, so it sounds like for you now, you don't have to go out and chase people. They're coming to you. Do you find also that makes for a different kind of enrollment or sales conversation?
It really does, because in the beginning, I was taught how to do a strategy session, a sales conversation, and I practiced and I got better at them. But a lot of times they were lasting 45 minutes to an hour, and I was getting more maybes than yeses and having that kind of thing go on. And when I thought about this and set this intention of I want to be pursued by using valuable content, now my sales conversations are so different and people come to me. I don't go out and do your traditional networking, and I don't make direct calls. I don't make cold calls or even warm calls, any of that. I use my system to invite people onto complimentary consultations. And by the time they show up, I started finding sometimes they're saying, oh, I know I'm going to hire you. I just have one question, or I just needed to hear that you were a real person. And sometimes it's as short as 15 minutes and then they're enrolling. And I have more people now that buy from me straight out of email than in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a whole different energy, right? Because they called you, they sought you out. So you don't have to be pushing. You don't have to, right. They want something. They've already proven that they want something. They like you. They like your message. Something engaged them. And I think that just creates a whole different energy for sure.
It really does. And for me, especially, so it is also a personal energy that I can do those kind of calls all day long. I'm excited. You asked to get on the phone with me more than I'm just having business cards and calling people and trying to see if they're interested. So I know that I show up differently. And then it's just an easier sell. It's like they've tasted the sample and now they're coming to buy the meal.
Michelle Barr, this has been absolute gold that you've shared with us. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about how you help people? And then again, give them that link how they can find you?
Yes, my story is that I first had a very expensive hobby, and then I turned that into a profitable local business, and then closed the brick and mortars and took that online and created a global online business. And that's what I help other people do through personality branding, building the foundation, building the platform, and building the tribe. And you can find me at michellebarr.com. You come and find me and let's connect.
Michelle Barr, thank you for returning to the Coachzing Show and sharing your words of wisdom with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So thanks, everyone. We'll be back Monday through Friday with more great guests, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thanks for listening to the Coachzing Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to Coachzing.com to learn more. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the Coach Singers community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.